Show you this clip of LeBron James speaking about how much he loves a Diddy party.
Hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so. Yeah.
Ain't no party like a Diddy party. And so where is LeBron James, who has elected himself the mayor of speaking out when nobody cares to hear his opinion? Because if you're telling me that you use your platform to speak out when there are Black victims, there sure as hell seems to be a lot of them when it comes to Diddy. Is it plausible that the reason that LeBron James is opting to be so quiet is because when he read that lawsuit and realized that Diddy had cameras everywhere, unbeknownst to his partygoers at these freak-offs, is it plausible that he's got LeBron James doing something that he wouldn't want made public? I don't know. I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking for the king to use his platform to speak to us peasants. And that's all I'm saying about that.
Oh, that's LeBron. That's LeBron. Oh, man. That's LeBron having the time of his life. He's having the time of his life in the offseason.
No, ain't no party like a Diddy party, so. Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
I think also the silence of certain individuals like LeBron James is quite deafening. A person who claims to care so much about Black life, Black Lives Matter, on the ground, taking a kneel. Okay, that's fine. But now you have a friend of yours who has been on camera beating a Black woman. Okay, you said nothing when that happened. You also know that you have various Black people speaking out about how they were abused by him, and you have said nothing. So I don't like the hypocrisy behind that. It might be a good time to use your platform. I'm calling out the hypocrisy and the double standard of that. If LeBron James had kept his mouth shut on every other issue and said nothing, I wouldn't be like, hey, why is LeBron James being quiet on this issue? I'd say he doesn't typically weigh in on anything. So it wouldn't make sense to put pressure on him to do it. The exact opposite. I'm saying keep the exact same energy that you have had on every other Black issue when it comes to your door and it pertains to a friend of yours that you were partying with. I think that's pretty sensible.
One thing that really stands out that she says is that at one point Diddy had a knife inside her mouth and then says, I'm going to give you a Glasgow smile, which is, slitting someone's cheeks. But he's warned against it by a member of his team, saying Diddy's associates would prefer it if she, referring to Ashley, looked normal. She also says that they said to her they could ship her off and sell her to anyone in the world and she'd never be seen again by her parents or loved ones. Now, Ashley did make a police report in 2018 at the time of the alleged incident, and the Contra Costa Sheriff's Department confirmed her report was thoroughly investigated and it was determined the claims were unfounded. Diddy's team said Mr. Combs was nowhere near Orinda, California on the day that she claimed she was assaulted. There's no evidence that Mr. Combs was ever even in the same room as the alleged victim. She's completely unbelievable and no sane person who views the evidence will credit her story.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. Our next story takes us out to the Big Apple as Sean Diddy Combs will be back in court today for day 2 of his trafficking and racketeering trial. Jury selection is set to resume with 19 jurors from the first day's pool moving on to the next stage. Fox 5 New York's Briella Tomasetti joins us live this morning outside the courthouse in Lower Manhattan with the very latest details. A lot of eyes on this case, Briella. Good morning.
Gina, good morning to you, and I can tell you this, it's expected to be another busy day at court. As a reminder, yesterday, potential jurors were given a brief explanation of the charges. The judge also told them that the defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Elaborate, sometimes days-long parties by coercing victims through drugs, threats, and manipulation. They claim to have video evidence, and some of the accusations echo details from over 70 civil lawsuits filed against Combs over the last 30 years.
Mr. Combs feels A, he's innocent, which is why he's not completely guilty. B, he's going to be truthful about this case because he wants to portray that to the people who have loved him his whole life. And I think he also feels an obligation to people in general. Maybe it's Black people, maybe it's white people, maybe it's anybody who's ever felt aggrieved and targeted by the government. He feels an obligation to those people to say, you know what? Maybe I can break the model maybe I can show the world that a black man can win, in federal court. And I think he probably is the only person I know of who might be able to actually accomplish that.
Panda is a secret code for a certain thing, and so when it comes down to that certain thing, what it is you basically have a certain nerve in your rectum, and if you touch that nerve, you can turn a person into an animal. You can turn a person into whatever you want them to be if you just hold them down.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs back behind bars. A magistrate judge denying him bail, saying that there were no conditions that she could conceive of that would make her confident that he would appear again for other court appearances. The judge saying, "My concern is this is a crime that happens behind closed doors."
At trial, Combs will ditch the jail garb and wear ordinary clothes. As his lawyers argue, the evidence shows consenting adults being intimate in their own way.
This is going to be such a massive trial, like maybe the biggest Hollywood trial. God knows which way it's going to go. Is it going to go on for weeks?
For sure, weeks.
Everyone knew he was the devil. He's been the devil for 30 years. He's been covered and protected by not only Clive Davis, but Lucian Grange. He was selected to be the demon that he is, to keep the culture in line so the industry could continue to big for all of its precious jewels. We have too many lost. The list of lost is ridiculous, and everyone knows Diddy was selected for this job. He's the Judas.
The last hearing before Sean Combs' trial starts, when he walked into federal court today, he appeared to be looking for his family. They've pretty much been at all of the hearings that I've been to, but there was no presence of his sons or his mother or his sister who had previously been at those hearings.
Now, as far as jury selection goes, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that both sides expect to have all of this done in the matter of 3 days. Now, given just how high profile this trial is, I was kind of stunned that they seem very confident that they will be able to seat a jury in that amount of time.
Do you still think that, because there is this public perception, that there are celebrity tapes involved in this case?
No.
Do you still think that there are minors involved in this case?
I'm certain no.
Okay.
And again, when you say this case, we're talking the criminal case.
The criminal case.
In the
correct.
criminal,
I know that.
In the criminal case, no. Would you be open to a plea bargain?
Well, it's not up to me. It's up to Mr. Combs, and I don't see it happening.
Why?
Because he believes he's innocent. He believes he's innocent, and what's more, he believes that he needs to stand up. Not just for himself, for his family, and for everybody who's been targeted by the federal government.
We have the latest from federal court in the Sean Combs criminal case. Status of jury selection, what Diddy's going to be wearing, violation of a gag order, rejecting a plea offer.
Diddy's lawyers had argued that he had made good faith efforts by showing up in New York, ready to surrender to face these charges, but prosecutors said that he could not be trusted, that he has a history of trying to intimidate witnesses, including some who are going to be witnesses in this case. They urge a judge to remand him.
The decision guarantees Combs will face trial beginning just 4 days from now that will test whether one of music's most prolific figures used his power, wealth, and fame to exploit both women and men for decades.
Major developments time involving the case against Sean Diddy Combs, what he decided in court today, and what this now means, the move coming just 4 days before his trial is set to begin. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, Sean Combs makes it official. He's rejecting the government's offer to plead guilty and spare himself the possibility of a prolonged term in prison. When asked if he turned down the offer, Combs answered, "Yes, I do, Your Honor," as he stood in a baggy beige jail uniform. Terms were not disclosed, but prosecutors did say a plea could result in a shorter sentence for Combs than if he's convicted.
I thought it couldn't get any worse. It actually does. Diddy's being hit with another SA lawsuit, but this time from a former male employee. And he's saying that Diddy would touch him inappropriately.
What made you come here to support Puff?
We support Puff because he's innocent and I'm wholeheartedly believing his innocence, and I know he's innocent. So,
You think you know he's innocent?
1,000%.
Isn't that, to my mind, that's one of the bigger hurdles in selecting a jury this coming week, is that there is, at least anecdotally, when I talk to people, they have that opinion, strongly held opinion, that there's celebrity stakes, that they've kind of conflated Epstein, and you mentioned Ghislaine Maxwell, and all of these things into Diddy. There's this idea that somehow this is Epstein redux or something.
He knows the deck is stacked against him. They've got a ton of evidence. Take the plea deal, dude. Just take it.
Well, my guess is that, because we don't know the deal of the plea deal. At least I don't think we do.
True.
Okay.
Back up a little bit, please.
How can you support your father? How do you support him moving forward?
We made love.
Who you made love with?
I'm telling you that. Yes, TD Jakes is Kim Porter. So you tell me what they was doing. I'm not going to express how I feel about it because I don't.
What happens is if people go into a trial believing the firepower on the prosecution is so strong, I mean, let's say on a scale of 1 to 100, it's a 95 that it's so strong, but it goes down to an 88. That helps the defense because everybody goes in thinking, wow, they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and all of a sudden, none of it's there. I think that actually helps the defense.
Well, Bill and Sade, accepting a plea agreement would mean that Sean Combs would have to admit to trafficking and force. And today he made it very clear that was not going to happen. Diddy maintained all along these encounters involved consenting adults and plans to take his chances that a jury agrees.
She did, and when the judge did, Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge who will oversee this trial and try to get Diddy to be released.
The moment a digital leak spreads, no pile of letters can lock down the entire internet. The response has reportedly taken two paths. First, they're chasing the source, examining a digital mark experts found faintly hidden in the bottom right corner of the leaked clip. That mark, though partly cut off, matches the code used by high-end cameras often rented from small studios in Los Angeles. Rental records might show who picked up the camera near the time of the leak. The second path is about damage control, sending legal warnings not just to gossip sites, but to any outlet or platform even thinking of buying or sharing the clip. These letters refer to privacy laws and suggest someone may have broken the rules for attending the event, making the case even harder to untangle. The Cavaliers' front office is now quietly figuring out how deep this could go. A federal investigation into celebrity tax shelters has recently grown to include fancy parties where money deals mix with late-night fun. Agents looking into possible financial wrongdoings have been gathering flight lists, coded chat logs, and event bills from that. Same weekend in August, LeBron's name isn't on any official file, but the timing alone might raise red flags, especially if background chatter in the clip catches real talk about offshore money or secret investments. Two former prosecutors who've worked on athlete cases say even small links can lead to phone and email searches. LeBron's team must now decide if pushing back too hard on the leak might actually bring more heat. At the same time, TV networks are planning safe backup content in case ads get pulled. A top sports channel has already built segments breaking down PR disasters, showing past sports scandals beside new clips. On YouTube, drama channels are ready to cash in, with eye-catching thumbnails showing blurred party scenes and LeBron mid-shock. One data expert says that image alone could boost clicks by 20%, even if the video just repeats rumors. The buzz builds fast, More views bring more posts, and more posts push the story further. Executives in Silicon Valley are now quietly rethinking the risks of backing athlete-run media brands. Questions are rising about whether LeBron's performance on the court could dip under the pressure of this growing scandal. Team psychologists who track player health have been told to watch LeBron's stress levels, sleep patterns, training habits, and any sudden change in how he interacts with others. Off the record, veteran teammates say he still seems locked in but a bit more short with his words. One staff member even pointed out that LeBron changed the locker room music from high-energy songs to calm, lo-fi beats. That may seem small, but in pro sports, even the tiniest shift sparks headlines. Meanwhile, investors in his Spring Hill company, which makes documentaries and real-life shows, depend on his clean public image. Now, some of them may ask for stricter moral rules before handing over more money. If that happens, it could tighten the path for other sports stars who, like LeBron, are trying to blend fame and business into one powerful brand. Just a month ago, headlines praised LeBron for his school programs, grants, and scholarships. Now those same news feeds are filled with talk of secret parties, NDAs, and who was behind the velvet rope when a red light hit someone's watch. Social justice voices are watching closely, noticing how fast the story has flipped from praise to suspicion. The speed of this shift shows how quickly the media can change focus based on the slightest new detail. Behind closed doors, league crisis teams are mapping out the best and worst outcomes. The best case? Proving the video was edited, cutting together random room shots with unrelated chat, and pushing media outlets to take it down. The worst case? More footage leaking online, maybe with clearer views of who was there and what they were doing. All the while, private equity circles keep watch, aware of how shaky public trust can shake even the strongest brands. Stepping into that roped-off hallway has sparked fresh questions about secret side events that might have broken league rules. No matter where this goes, it's likely to lead to private talks between LeBron, the league commissioner, the council, and outside rule checkers brought in after last year's sponsor ethics probe. But beyond possible punishments, there's a bigger issue. How will fans see the gap between a quiet off-court event and a public image built on family and giving back? Experts in sports culture say today's famous athletes walk a careful line, trying to balance their real lives with what the world expects. Fans might accept a normal night out, but they pull back when hints of excess feel dishonest. Even a short leaked clip forces people to compare LeBron the activist role model with LeBron the private man, enjoying the same nightlife as other stars. For reporters covering the story, the real test is proving what's real without spreading content that could be edited or fake. That's where digital forensics teams come in, looking frame by frame to confirm what actually happened before. The story spins further out of control. Experts check frame rates and pixel patterns to spot edits, but that work takes time. Meanwhile, rumors spread fast. News producers wrestle with how to mix cautionary language with headlines that still grab attention. Editors argue over whether to include past examples of leaked clips that sparked lawsuits but later turned out harmless. In every newsroom there's pressure, not to be wrong, but not to be late, while flashier outlets rush to post before checking facts. Across the U.S., sports betting sites feel a ripple effect. Odds for playoff rankings shift as bettors wonder if off-court stress could hurt LeBron's game. Data teams watching the bets notice a spike in short-term wagers predicting his stats might drop, a rare trend flagged for closer review. While gambling regulators don't usually step in over bets tied to rumors, the sudden surge shows how far the leak is reaching beyond celebrity gossip. For now, regulators are relieved. No signs yet of foul play, but everyone's watching for what might come next. No proof of planned tampering has turned up, but the situation shows how fast modern scandals shake up money markets in just hours, putting more stress on the athlete caught in the storm. Inside brand offices, teams prepare backup plans. A global drink company set to launch summer ads with LeBron on the beach quietly orders new versions, swapping in a rising rookie just in case. Editors work overnight to match lighting and product shots, racking up unexpected post-production costs. At the same time, social media teams build two posting plans, one for a normal rollout if things calm down, another to pause and share support if trouble grows. The chaos reveals just how risky it is to mix big branding with celebrity spotlight. Scandals like this can undo years of careful marketing in just hours. As external chaos builds, those closest to LeBron start looking inward. Longtime advisors re-examine the vulnerabilities that come with his superstar status, the over-reliance on a tight circle, the assumption that charity events always bring goodwill, and the belief that NDAs stop people from recording private moments. A consultancy, hired after a past controversy, now runs simulations to prepare for the worst. They imagine a video leaking just before a big televised game, forcing sideline reporters to ask uncomfortable questions during pre-game interviews. Psychologists on standby suggest techniques like mindfulness and digital detoxes to help LeBron stay focused, but whether these tactics will work during the grind of an NBA season remains uncertain. Each small mental safeguard now feels crucial. Meanwhile, cultural critics dig into bigger issues. The gap between public personas and private moments, the ethics of selling glimpses into celebrity downtime, and how fans fuel the demand for more invasive content. Thoughtful articles in respected newspapers compare today's leak culture with the past, when paparazzi had fewer tools and slower deadlines. They note how today's obsession with real-time streams gives fans a sense of ownership over stars, praising their victories one week, then tearing them apart the next. These pieces inevitably connect back to LeBron, making the leak impossible to ignore. Even before the public gets more than blurry stills, the LeBron leak becomes a cultural flashpoint. On Capitol Hill, a bipartisan tech ethics group jumps in, calling for hearings on privacy issues affecting both celebrities and everyday people. Staffers prepare briefs using LeBron's leak as Exhibit A, arguing that the rise of personal censors requires new consent laws. While lawmakers work slowly, the threat of new federal guidelines makes companies in Silicon Valley nervous. Current platform immunity could soon face more scrutiny. Lobbyists quickly draft points defending free speech and the value of investigative reporting, fearing that high-profile cases like this might lead to regulations limiting viral content spread. On the financial side, experts look into blockchain transactions after rumors spread that the full video was first sold using cryptocurrency. A group of wallets linked to known gossip networks shows large transfers in stablecoins, though the anonymity of blockchain makes it hard to pin down. Patterns suggest multiple buyers fought for control of the video before talks broke down. If a media company ends up publishing the full footage, forensic experts will continue to dig, tracing every detail to figure out exactly where the video came from and who's behind it. Accountants may help track whether money changed hands illegally through digital assets. For LeBron's legal team, this forensic trail could be crucial, linking those behind the leak to illegal revenue sources and strengthening claims of malice and unjust enrichment in a civil lawsuit. Meanwhile, the Clippers' arena security team sees an unusual rise in credential requests from freelance photographers for an upcoming rivalry game. Security officials suspect that some of these photographers are trying to get close to LeBron, not to capture the game, but to focus on his body language under stress. In response, the team limits freelance passes and introduces biometric scanners to ensure that all approved individuals match their entry badges. These increased security measures highlight the ripple effect of a single off-court controversy, forcing multiple teams to revise their procedures. Resources that would normally go to improving the fan experience are now redirected to managing the growing risks surrounding rumors. In Akron, local leaders express concern as tabloid rumors start to stir, unsure how much these whispers will affect the community's image and reputation. The latest milestone at LeBron's I Promise school might be overshadowed by the ongoing scandal. Administrators had planned a celebratory press day to highlight new STEM labs, but they worry national outlets will steer the coverage towards scandal-related questions. PR strategists suggest shifting the focus to regional education reporters, who are less involved in sports gossip. However, the story's momentum threatens to infiltrate every narrative tied to LeBron's philanthropy, showing how personal controversies can unintentionally undermine community-focused initiatives that rely on his celebrity. At a sports history museum, curators discuss whether to delay an upcoming exhibit titled Icons Off the Court, which is set to feature LeBron's charitable work, alongside private moments and personal hobbies. Museum board members are concerned that visitors might misinterpret innocent artifacts, like behind-the-scenes family footage, as clues that challenge the authenticity of his public image versus his private life. For now, the exhibit remains scheduled, but curators add explanatory plaques to clarify timeline differences, hoping to protect the display from social media-driven rumors. Meanwhile, AI-generated deepfakes make things even murkier. Within hours of the leak, fake clips surface, showing LeBron in exaggerated nightclub settings with artificial voiceovers and false timestamps. Even the most experienced viewers struggle to distinguish real footage from algorithmically crafted imitations. Verification experts rush to remind audiences of how to spot deep fakes. Indicators like irregular eye movements, mismatched lighting reflections, and glitches in voice synthesis on certain sounds are the key signs of deep fakes. Yet these warnings get lost in a flood of sensational reposts that boost engagement. Metrics. The ongoing battle between those trying to defend authenticity and the spread of viral misinformation highlights the difficult path LeBron now walks. To clear his name, he must prove both the real footage and the entirely fake ones wrong, each spreading at lightning speed. Meanwhile, sneakerheads debate whether exclusive LeBron-themed colorways should be collector's items or potential risks if the scandal grows. Some enthusiasts predict that a short-term dip in resale value could lead to big profits if LeBron's reputation bounces back, sparking speculative buying that drives up aftermarket prices. This buzz circles back to retail channels, where managers notice an odd increase in direct-to-consumer orders. It turns out, controversy can spark both avoidance and a compulsive urge to buy, depending on the consumer. Inside the NBA Players Association headquarters, union leaders handle anxious calls from athletes, worried about how personal conduct off the court could turn into league-wide policy changes. Some younger players are calling for tighter controls, feeling the pressure as this issue unfolds. Union leaders are pushing for more robust digital privacy workshops, arguing that technology evolves much faster than policy updates. Veteran reps, however, argue that personal vigilance is the first line of defense, and no policy can replace the need for situational awareness and careful guest lists at private events. This ongoing debate between proactive and reactive guidelines could influence future collective bargaining sessions, showing how one superstar's crisis can reshape broader labor dynamics. On top of the legal battles, there's a defamation risk for mainstream media outlets. If future footage fails to show any wrongdoing, but coverage still implies guilt, LeBron's legal team could go after damages for reputational harm. As past cases have shown that juries sometimes award large sums when insinuations go beyond the facts. Editors are carefully weighing their word choices, wondering if describing LeBron's demeanor as animated crosses a line into suggesting misconduct. Will calling the lounge a scene of interest hint at something improper? This tightrope walk between covering a story and potentially crossing a line is becoming more intense as the crisis grows. The word exclusive could suggest the involvement of illicit activities, and copy editors are carefully reviewing style guides, choosing each word with precision. They know that one wrong adjective could become critical evidence in a courtroom. As for the original recording device, supply chain experts confirmed that the action camera suspected of capturing the footage automatically logs Wi-Fi packets. If a Wi-Fi connection was made inside the mansion,